Good morning, everyone. Tim from AlphaWolfTrading.com coming at you with the free Friday pre-market prep video. Something I do each and every day for the pro members over at AlphaWolfTrading.com. Let's just go ahead and get right into it. First thing I want to talk about is the fact that I was really impressed with the action that we had yesterday. And one thing I just want to point out is that what we've been lacking as the market had been grinding up a little bit was we were lacking a good breadth, right? And yesterday we had over 279 stocks that had moves of 4% or more, which was a nice thing to see. We haven't seen that in quite a little while here, and I think that could give us some potential momentum for follow through. Now this is a Friday before the weekend, so after a big run like yesterday, and we're gapping up today. Gap up day is my least favorite day to trade, especially in a gap up day on Friday, right? A lot of profit taking. Wouldn't be surprised if that were to happen. So you certainly do not want to chase anything this morning. We've got the ASCO conference that's starting today. Already seen one company. It looks like they're going to get absolutely whacked off of their presentation at ASCO is SGYP. Um, Looks like they failed and they're going to reduce their workforce by 40%. That's not going to be a pretty opening, but hopefully we get some good news out of ASCO too, and not just a bunch of bad news. And that could be good for the IBB, the level that we're looking to take out that has been acting as big time resistance in the IBB is 300 mark, right? Now we were looking for this to be a potential rip your face off bounce back rally in the IBB after we pierced the 200-day moving average the other day and had a nice reversal candle. Now we're actually right back up into this trend line and the 50-day moving average. We can take this out with some conviction. Maybe we get back up into this 300 mark, we consolidate a little bit, and we're able to take that out once and for all. And that's a big spot to try and get through. If you look at how many times we've tapped that 300 mark and failed, if we can actually get back up there and take it out with some conviction, I think that could be really good for the overall markets. And if you look at it, we have just curled up on the stochastics. We're not overbought. We could get a powerful run if we get some really good news out of that ASCO conference this weekend. Something to keep an eye on. But let's go ahead and get looking at some of the stocks that I've got on the list today, and we're going to bust through some here. Now, PTX I happen to bring up on accident, but it is kind of interesting. CTRP, this is a stock that was brought up by one of the pro members this morning in the live session. Good looking daily chart, flirting with all-time highs, thick stock, right? This is a thicker stock, probably more of a swing or long-term hold proposition. I think it becomes more compelling as a swing or long-term hold proposition and a pullback to the 50-day moving average, right? That could be a more compelling entry. May not get that opportunity though. Could break out here, take out, let's call it 5650, 5660, 5660 with conviction, and then you're in blue sky. So worth keeping an eye on CTRP, possibly for or maybe even taking a little starter position, and then maybe looking for a pullback to 52 to add something like that. But very good looking technical setup on CTRP. Stochastics just curling to the upside, RSI curling up a little bit. Hot. CGIX, we were just talking about this one. I happened to see a news release come across the wire. Nothing significant. I like this setup though. I like this daily quite a bit. It's worked off the overbought condition. Stochastics are curling to the upside. Now this is a thin trader, right? 73,000 shares, only 16.8 million shares in the float, 13% short interest. Recent insider buy on May 17th, 19,000 shares at $3.79, which is right where we are sitting. We're sitting with, just it's hanging out here at the 50 EMA, 50 SMA, uh, nice tight coil. Get any kind of significant volume boost and a break over $4. I think you can get a pretty nice little pop out of the CGIX. Definitely worth having on the radar for a day trade. I am actually even contemplating maybe a swing in that thing, but we'll see. ECYT, we just talked about that one. That's getting whacked. SGMS was another stock that was brought up by one of the members of Alpha Trading, and I do like the look of the daily chart, and I like the sector. Right, the gaming sector is extremely hot. It's one of our favorite sectors to be watching and involved in at this particular point in time. A bunch of hot looking charts there. Hot sector. The problem with this company for me is they have a tremendous amount of debt. So look, for a day trade scalp over $24 could be very interesting with some volume, but I really wouldn't want to hold it overnight just because of the high debt load that this company carries. So Zixi, hot. Cybersecurity. Palo Alto Networks just reported yesterday, good earnings report. Zixi is a great looking technical setup. It's over the 50, rising 50-day moving average, rising 200-day. Worked off an overbought condition. Stochastics curling up. You can see that there's some accumulation going on here. This is a good looking setup, and one that I think you can consider for either a swing trade or a day trade opportunity. If you break out over $6 with conviction, I think you likely get a 650 test. May have some resistance at 630 or so, but I think 650 test is doable. It's only got 52 million shares in the float. Earnings have been good. This one is so now they have an annual meeting on June 7th. All right. Oh, let's see what this Form 4 is. Now we just had it's a little small, nothing. That's probably tax. Just selling 980 shares for tax purposes. Who cares? But I do like this one quite a bit. Like I said, for a potential swing or day trade opportunity, scalp opportunity, but definitely worth keeping an eye on. Zixi, ARGX. This has been, or AGRX, I'm sorry. It's been on my watch list for a while. It's been holding this 50-day, and then we got this reversal candle the other day. Day before yesterday. Little reversal candle here. Reclaim the 50-day, and then we get a little bit of a follow-through day yesterday. So, this is had some insider buys from 368 to 351, 53,000 and 10,000 shares on May 11th. So some insider buying there. We got a gap to fill up to the daily. Test the 200-day moving average right around $4.75. I think this is worth having on the radar for a day trade opportunity. Maybe get a red to green move here. It closed right at the 100 EMA. We'll see if it can break through that today. But maybe a little red to green move there. Pretty hot looking setup. Insider buying. Has a lot of the elements that I like. 17 million shares in the float. Very tiny, right? 186,000 shares traded hands yesterday. Get some real volume. Get a nice little pop out of AGRX. MAS. M-A-S. Now this is a thicker stock. More of a long-term hold or swing play opportunity, and I think it's more compelling on a pullback to $35 or so, or maybe to the 50-day moving average. But it's also consolidating in an area. This could be a pretty nice breakout, and I think this is all-time highs. It is. So you're going to be in blue sky territory. It's building a nice base. Maybe it needs. Maybe it continues to build out that base, but once that breaks, the wider the base, the higher the space. So definitely a good looking chart, and probably more of a swing or long-term hold proposition, but worth keeping on the radar. and maybe even dipping the toe for a little starter position. And if it pulls back and closes this gap, you look to add to the position, which is a strategy for longer term hold plays, not for day trades, right? People say never add to a losing position, but look, it depends on your time frame. This is a beautiful chart from the lower left to the upper right, pulling back and filling that gap. Now, if you want to get a starter here, just in case it breaks out, and it doesn't break out, you take a small position. You don't take your full size. If it doesn't break out, it pulls back to the 200 day. You add to your position, right? And you hold the stock until you make money. That's the longer term view. All right. So MAS, another good looking chart. HERX, we already talked about that one. Okay, TRPX. This is a recent IPO. This is a cannabis play, or as I like to call them, pot stocks. Uh, Recent IPO. Looks like it might be trying to do a little something, curling up. Um, Worth watching for a trend line break. This whole space has been under pressure, right? The whole marijuana pot space, cannabis space, whatever you want to call it, has been under pressure recently. And I do think that at some point we're going to get a nice bounce in the sector. This could be one to keep an eye on, right? This could be more. This one's probably more like a Cara, CARA, or a ZYNE than it is some of these penny pot stocks out there. Worth keeping an eye on for a trend line break with some volume. I think this has got a fairly small float, but worth putting on the radar. BDU is another IPO that one of the pro members brought up this morning. Actually took it for a swing at 11.99, and he's already up in it and could get a trend line break there and continuation to move higher. ORMP was another one that was brought up. This is a super tiny one though. 37,000 shares traded hands yesterday, and you need more volume. There's not a lot of liquidity there, so be careful with that one. But it does have a pretty nice looking setup on the daily. Possible um, day trade opportunity there with volume. CMTL. This is hot, hot, hot. Uh, Potential flat top breakout. $15 holla. Really good looking setup on the daily. It's got a couple of gaps to fill. If this thing takes out $15 with conviction, meaning we get some significant volume, I think you could get a pop up to $16 or so. Very hot looking chart. It does have a gap to fill down here as well, right? I mean, it could come down and fill this gap here. But it's been consolidating for a while, building out a nice base. I don't know if this has any catalyst on the horizon. Make sure you check to see that if it's got earnings or anything that on the horizon that could impact this stock. But for a day trade opportunity over $15 with volume, I think there's opportunity there for that, and could even be considered a swing type stock. This sector is pretty hot, right? CIEN. Okay, so this is communication stock from yesterday that broke out of a multi-year area of price resistance. Right? Look at this, nice flat top breakout, broke out and closed above it. Now, 2750 is a big spot for it. I mean, look at this, 2011, 2013, 14, right? Big spot here. I think this is very compelling on a pullback to an area of potential support somewhere around 2350, $24. May not happen, right? Maybe 2450 would be a better area to look and start to build a position, and then look to maybe add to the position at around $24. But really nice look on CN. Broke out yesterday. Look for this, now that earnings, they had good earnings, they raised guidance. look for it to pull back, right, and close this gap. Wait, let these good earnings, people forget about good earnings, right? Let it drift lower and close that gap. Great place to consider it for a swing or long-term hold. All right, CMTL. All right, so we talked about that one. BABA, we talked about that one this morning. It's just, look, this is an IRA stock, IRA stock, right? You look to buy this on a pullback. Love to get it someplace close to $100, right? Down to the 200 day. Don't know that that will happen. This is one I think though on a pullback and market weakness, you add this to your portfolio and you sit on it. And it could present an opportunity on a trend line break for a day trade. It looks as though it's flirting with all-time highs. It is flirting with all-time highs, but it's had a heck of a run. It's had a heck of a run, and if the market does see any kind of weakness, this is one of the names that you keep an eye on. Gets close to that $100 mark. It's this one you start to build a position in and just hold it. It's got a pretty sweet looking setup on the daily as well. CGG, we looked at this because it was gapping a little bit this morning. No interest in it whatsoever. AGHT just reported earnings, had good guidance, popped, pulled back, flirting with the 50-day moving average, flirting with the $14 holla. Potentially we get a day trade opportunity out of this one. Worth keeping on the radar. For a day trade, could even be a swing op. If it can reclaim that 200-day moving average and hold, maybe consolidate just below that trend line and then take out $15, could have something there. CHK trying to get a position in this. There was a Seeking Alpha article. It was negative short term, positive long term. I'm hoping that this thing pulls back to $4.50 or so. I'd like to start building a position there in my long term hold portfolio. There has been a tremendous amount of insider buying. 75,000 shares on May 31st at $5. May 26th, 20,000 shares at $5.26. March, 500,000 shares at $5.24. 50,000 shares, $5.39. 350,000 shares. You get the idea. There's a lot of insider buying going on here. And if this thing could pull back to 450 or even $4, so look, it pulls back to 450, I may take a position. 490, I may take a position. And start building the position as, if it pulls back to $4, I'm going to add to that position. I'm going to throw in with these guys that are picking up shares at $5 and $6, right? I'm not going to be in a hurry to do it. This is a thick stock, almost 1 billion shares in the float. I can be patient with this. If the sector is weak and this pulls back, I can be patient. I know where the insiders are buying, and I am going to look to participate somewhere in the under $5 range. So worth keeping on the radar. MYGN had a little bit of news this morning. Now this just had earnings, gapped up. It's almost closed the gap. It broke the trend line yesterday, flirting with 2050. Potential continuation. This has only got 48 million shares in the float, 49% short interest, so it does have squeezability, right? And like I said, just bounced off that 50-day simple moving average, came close to filling the gap. Potential continuation on this. This could be a day trade or a higher risk swing consideration. Basically you look at maybe taking it at 20 or so, or try to get it at 20 and put your stop at 1890, right? I don't know, somewhere in that area. Put your stop just below the maybe 1875, and you're looking for it to go back up and test 2350. Pretty good risk reward on that one. Let's see here. What else we got? VRX, another beaten up name that has been pulling back after a nice little run right to the 50 EMA. Stochastics are curling up, testing that trend line. It's thicker stock, right? Could be a swing, could be a day trade, but I think probably more of a swing. look for it to take out the $13 hollow with some conviction, and maybe you get a test back up into that $14.50 range. Um, it'd be good to get it as close to 12 bucks as possible, right? If you're going to take it for a swing, maybe try to get it at $12, right? And then put a stop at 10.95. I don't know. Look for it to go test that 14.47. Decent risk reward. Thicker stock, like I said, but worth keeping an eye on. BRX, SGYP. Full disclosure, I am involved in this stock. I just picked some more up at $3.36 the other day here. Turned out to be a decent little buy. It's getting a little bit of a gap this morning off of an upgrade. I think they will have there could be some news about their scripts out that for this week out later today. That could give it, if it's good, could give it some follow through. And this is actually, for a biotech, this is one that I have in my long-term hold portfolio, which is kind of rare for me. I don't typically do it. Now, these guys could dilute. They could dilute. And that's okay with me. I'm prepared for that. If they do dilute, I do not have my full position in this stock yet. I am building it. I will build it if they dilute and they price it crappy. I'm going to go ahead and buy more shares. And I'm going to hold this until I make money. That's the bottom line. And I think this one is worth watching for a potential day trade opportunity because there is a big short interest. It's a little bit thicker, 200 million shares in the float, but I think long term, I think that they have a very good drug, compelling drug that I think is going to wind up doing well over time. So we just had some insider buys, small. They're just small, $3.50. But it's still nice to see insiders buying. Wish they would step up the plate and buy a bit more though. LPTH, I love this stock. Full disclosure, I do have some shares, lotto shares left from a swing position in it. I'm actually looking to add to those shares potentially, or take this as a day trade, autonomous vehicle participation. This stock, this company, it's not just a telecommunications stock, or it's they just bought a company, just had earnings. Earnings were good. I like this company, and I'm looking for. And you can see there's some accumulation going on here too. So worth keeping an eye on for a potential day trade or a swing trade opportunity as well. Swing trade, even long-term hold. And then the last one, BBRY. Look, had a nice pop yesterday. These guys are going to get $851 million from Qualcomm, or maybe they already did. They're not a phone play anymore. They're a software play. They're also involved in the autonomous car business, right? Big volume yesterday. Big volume. Came up right into resistance. Potential red to green move. I think, you get this one at 10.50 or less. It could be very compelling, but you may not get that opportunity, right? Maybe you pull back to 11, see how it acts there, see if it finds support. 10.50, $9 would be perfect. I mean, there is a gap to fill on this thing too. I don't know that that gap will fill. I think this gap was from the Qualcomm news, maybe not, but it's at an area of resistance here. I'm thinking 10.50. If you look at the congestion in this area, I'm thinking that really could be a good place to dip the toe for a long-term hold consideration. It's a very thick stock, so yeah, you got to look at this one as more of a swing or long-term hold. But pretty impressive look, good looking setup on the daily. Technically, would be ideal to try and maybe start building a position at 10.50. And then if it pulls back to the 50-day, I would add to that position, right? But not too shabby on BBRY. All right, listen, don't chase anything today, right? I know it's a gap up day, but it is Friday. Let's see what this GDP report. I think we might have. Oh, we did get the jobs number, and it looks like it was a positive number here. Employment rate May 4.3 versus 4.4. Private payrolls 147 versus 173. Non-farm payrolls 130 versus 185 estimate. Okay, well, I mean, this doesn't look bad. PGNX. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this. Be careful. Don't chase. Have a plan for each and every trade. And if you like what I do, come join us over at alphawolftrading.com. Membership is ridiculously cheap for what you get. In my opinion, I think that's the opinion of the members as well. So, all right, have a fantastic day trading. Good luck to you, and I'll be back this weekend with stocks to watch for next week. Good luck trading today.